Ready for a little weekday camping session. Go down this path, see if we can find a good spot to put the hammock tent, tree tent. Have a little look down here. So I'm sopping wet now. I've got all my active stuff on, waterproof coat, waterproof trousers, like a man-made base layer on as well underneath, pretty much just so I can get absolutely soaking wet, which I am doing. The plan is to go down this little path here, I don't know if you can see, go down that little walkway and cut into the forest there, and see if I can set my tree tent up as I'd like to. Obviously when that's up and all sorted as it should be, then I can look about getting out of these wet clothes into something more comfy. It's a nice little trail down here. So different compared to how it looks in winter. Obviously in winter all the foliage is right back, all the ferns are gone, quite exposed. It still amazes me how different the landscape is in spring and definitely summer as well. You can see, I want to go over that bit there, see if there's a little opening, or at least somewhere where the trees are quite close together, which they look like they are. I can put my hammock in between two of them. I keep calling it a hammock, it's a tree tent. I'll give you a closer look when I get it set up. I might even set the video up to record it and then see if I can include that in the footage. The perfect spot just behind me. It's quite open. I have been there before actually. Yeah, it's a good place to have a tent and also to have a hammock or tree tent if you've got that type of gear with you. Pretty private. It's quite late in the day. It's probably pushing about 8 o'clock now, so you still get some people on mountain bikes around here. Still get some walkers as well. But I feel like this time of the day, especially with the weather as well, it's a wet day, you get less people out and about and more able to kind of just blend in and do a little bit of stealth camping. There's the spot, a lovely little place. The sun rises in that direction, so it's lovely in the morning. As I say, there's this little opening here, which does get swallowed up in summer by all the ferns. You know, in winter there's a lot more of this area to camp on, but still here you can see there's enough space for a couple of tents, and it's this tree and this tree where I like to put my hammock tree tent. So see if I can, I don't know, I might video the setup, or I might just show you when it's set up. I haven't really got the distance or the space to put the little tripod up. There's too much foliage there, so I'll be too low down and the view will be restricted. So I'm just going to show you in a few stages what I'm trying this time in terms of setting it up. A few little things that I think might make it a bit better for those who've struggled like I have in setting part of it up. It may work, it may not. I mean, even when I haven't set it up in an ideal way, it still worked really well. So let's see if this works. So I've got the webbing wrapped around the tree as it should be, but this time I'll just put a very loose little bow to keep it in place, because obviously these ends need to go to the non-purchase end of the tent. I'm going to do the same over there with the cam lock webbing as well. and then at least it's more in place when I come to attach it. I'm finding that this is all sliding down when I come to attach, and I think that's why sometimes this side's higher than that side. As I say, I think it's just, you've got to live with the imperfections, and maybe I'm trying to make it a bit too perfect and too flat and too level. Another little thing I've done is I've got the actual tent, the inner under this fly sheet here, so it's obviously raining quite heavily. I have got a towel, so I could give the inner a little dry off if I needed to, but I'm thinking whilst I'm doing this I may as well have the rain fly over it just to protect it loosely. Again, I've repeated the process that I did at that end with the webbing without the cam locks, and again, this isn't how you're supposed to do it. I'm just trying to give myself the best possible start with keeping it relatively level on the tree and not sliding all the way down when I come to attach it to the inner. Next step is to attach the inner, so it's going to be that side first and then to that side. I imagine it probably still could slide down whilst I'm doing it, but we'll see. Learning curve. This is the 4th time I've set it up, so perhaps I'll be able to use this little tip, but I don't know. If you don't try these things, you don't know, do you? So I've been fiddling around with it for a good 10 minutes. I've got it relatively flat. It's just getting a bit wet now. I'm going to use a towel when it's up and running. You can see the gear hammocks under there. The fly sheets, not the fly sheet, the inner's kind of just flowing over. But what I'm doing here is using this can of drink to almost act as a spirit level. You know, and if it kind of comes back to the centre, I feel like it's not too bad. I feel like it's thereabouts. The thing for me is I'd never want to be sleeping with my head too high or too low. I want it to be quite flat. So I think this is a good little hack to try and get it flat, or to see how flat it is. I mean, that's pretty good for me. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten all of the locks at the purchase end of the cams and at the other end as well, and then hopefully I should be able to do one final tighten where I take this webbing and I put it through this final buckle, and that gives it that extra tension on both sides, just on this side. So yeah, looking good. So I've done the final tightening. I've got it in these secondary buckles and really pull it back on either side. It's looking very strong, very flat. I've got the pole ready to go. I'm going to try and combine it with the outer to try and pitch it all in one. So I can't really have a hands free to do this. I'll do it and I'll show you after I've done it. So we have it set up, mostly complete. I still need to guy out the front and the back, but I have got the door open like that just to show you the space. It's stopped raining now, a little bit of rain. It's mainly raining from the trees, or rather the drips are falling down from the trees. Looks better over there, clearer skies over there. There's a lovely little bit of forest here. And yeah, that took some time again. I've kind of got one strap, well, I've got one strap wrapped around the tree and then back on itself, and I originally set it up to do the same on this side, but I found that I didn't have enough webbing. Well, I technically did have enough webbing, but I don't know how to slide these along, and when I had this wrapped around the tree, these were way too far away from the first anchor point, so I couldn't even get the first round of tension, never mind feeding it back through the second buckle to really apply extreme tension to it. But I've had it set up like this before. I feel that the straps are more even this time. There's a slight bias to the right, but they're not twisted on this side at all. Looks good. And then on this side, the only thing I've got wrong is, as you can see, this is a little bit warped, a little bit twisted, and that's because it's twisted on the other side. But again, the angle and the position of how they are applied, overlapping each other, makes it pretty even. I found that in the past it looks great, and then I get in and it kind of moves a little bit, but the last time I set it up, I believe I didn't apply as much tension to this secondary buckle after it was fed through the cam, that is, and I've really pulled tight on either side, and I've tried to pull tight almost like the same amount of pressure and pulled the same length, the same distance of webbing through each side. That was only after I'd got it as level as I think it should be, or as level as I believed it is, or believe it is. I've done my little thing with the kind of pop to see if it's flat. It does want to roll down here a little bit more, if I'm being honest. But it's pretty central like that. As I say, maybe it's impossible to get it absolutely bang on, because I do think there's always going to be a little bit of movement when you get in, a little bit of slide, depending on the weight you apply, depending on how much tension you've put on here. So all that's going to come with experience, but I have found, even when it hasn't been, you know, absolutely bob on, when I've got my sleeping pad in there and I move around a little bit, even if there is a little bit of a bias on one side, oops, I keep falling over, not looking where I'm going. Even if there's a little dip or a little bias, I find that I can just slide myself over a little bit and it corrects itself. So, I don't know, we'll see how it is this time, now that I've applied maximum tension from the start. I'm hoping that's gonna do something. So I think I'm gonna guy it out now. Maybe look to get some of my gear in the tent, just so I've got like a dry space. What I probably will do is unfold the front of this door, which will border down to there to make a little enclosure. And that's what I like about this. In foul weather, I could undo both of the doors and have the guy lines pegged out, obviously, and then you've got this little, almost like little semicircle of porch area, so you could be sat on here nice and dry with your legs kind of dipping down, and you could still have some kind of comfort in bad weather. What else I like about this, and it's probably harder to do with the gear hammock. The gear hammock is good, by the way. It's not without its limitations. I do find that things have fallen off or slid off. I suppose some of that is kind of exacerbated or exaggerated if there is some kind of bias when setting it up. If it's not completely level, things do slide off, but I have found that I can fasten my my buckles on my bag through some of these loops, so if I'm getting in and out, it keeps it fixed to this platform, it doesn't slide out. But what I was going to say before I went on a bit of a tangent there was, if that gear hammock isn't there, if there isn't stuff in there, you can actually sit under here on a closed foam mat. Again, have that door open, and then you've got some outdoor space to sit under, which I think is quite cool. And again, you can see here, this side, this is like a smaller porch with obviously a smaller volume of porch area, but again, when that's pulled out, that gives a little bit more shelter. If you've got driving rain and wind, you're probably going to get wet. I've pitched this a little bit higher than the recommended height. I go for about rib height, but I think it's supposed to be about stomach height, waist height, and I suppose if you're doing that, you've got you know, a lower level of cover. And I still think you could fit under there and sit on the ground and have some cover. So yeah, it gives some options. That's what I like about this. And of course you can just use this as a tent as well. So if you're in a situation where you didn't have any trees, or the trees for whatever reason weren't suitable, if you found some flat ground like that, you could still utilise the tent as a freestanding model structure, and then you've got a little shelter that way as well. Shame about the orange parts on the tent though, isn't it? The orange gear hammock and the orange guy line. Be much better if it was completely camo. But this is from Canada, and I suppose it's not such a problem there. People can wild camp wherever they want to, I think. Like here in the UK, where it's illegal, which is rubbish really. But I could always take that gear hammock off, and it still looks quite stealthy. Ballsed up a bit though as well. I forgot a sleeping mat, a sleeping pad. And it's not really that cold. Obviously it's summertime, a bit damp, a bit wet. But that is a mistake. I think I'm going to have to put the sleeping bag under myself and put all my clothing on, and hope that does it. Yeah, kicking myself there. Got a good Cedar Summit pad, Ether XT. Really good pad. And I haven't got it now. Oh well, I'm sure I'll survive. All the comfies on now, all the clothing. I've got a couple of base layers on, including like a rab type, well, a fleece, a fleecy base layer by rab, and then a thick fleece on top. And I've got my soft shell trousers on, new socks. I'm on top of my sleeping bag. I've got my pillow, which is comfy. Feels pretty good in here. Feels pretty flat. I think I'll sleep well. Still a bit concerned about losing body heat from underneath me. Just have to see how I get on. But yeah, all in all, a nice dry space. It's not raining now, but I think there's more rain due later on. So I'm probably going to be winding down now. I'm just chilling out. I might venture out of the tent a little bit before I go to bed. Plenty of room in here though. I think if you're a bigger person, I'm about 5'9", 5'10" on a good day. I've got a little bit of room above my head. My feet aren't touching the end of the tent. But I think if you're 6 foot, a bit over 6 foot, you're going to struggle in this. But yeah, but for someone of my size and build, I'm between small and medium, I'd say. It's perfect. Really good space. Feels cosy, like a little cocoon. It's really good. It's getting dark now. It's raining. Nice and comfy in here. I've obviously haven't got a sleeping pad, so I've got all my clothes on now. Or nearly all my clothes. I've still got like spare socks that I'm just drying out up there. They were the socks that I had on before. These are fresh on, so I'm going to see. They look disgusting, don't they? I think it's because the flash is on and the fibres are reflecting it. That looks like a right dirty sock. Anyway, that's drying off. I'm thinking if it does get a little bit drier, I can probably put those on over these ones as well. And I've got my waterproof coat and waterproof trousers at the bottom. I've kind of made sure they're not soaking, and they're not now, they're just a bit damp. But I've turned them inside out and tucked the cuffs in and tucked the hood in the right way. So I've just got like the outer bit, which is quite dry. That was the inner bit, sorry, that was on me whilst I was wearing it, obviously. So my plan is, at night time, when I go to sleep, I'll sleep on this quite thick sleeping bag, which hopefully should help me with losing body heat from underneath. Then I'll put the waterproof just on top of me as a little blanket. I'll zip this down as well. I've got half the door open at the moment, and the bug net is zipped up, but if we take that down, I don't want to keep it on too long because I don't want lots of insects coming in, but it's quite cool that you can just chill out. Even in the rain, there's no wind, you can just chill out and look out from the tree tent. It's such a cool thing, it really is. It's awesome when you see something, fantastic tent or piece of gear, and you get it and it's exactly what you wanted, or even better. And this is one of the rare things with this tent. This A1 is absolutely fantastic. Was expensive. I had to pay duty on it, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to get it because I've done the research and it looks fantastic, and I'm going to put the time in to try and perfect how to use it so that I can get a good night's sleep. And that's something I've always battled with at camping. Very rare would I have a really good sleep, even if I got like a good sleeping pad. But this is super comfy. Yeah, it is cool. You can just lay here, sit up a bit and look out. All that view.